This is the new and improved version of the Spyderco Manix 2 lightweight, so it now comes with screws instead of rivets, which gives us much needed freedom to disassemble our knife, in case we wanted to repair it, install an upgrade, or just simply give it a thorough cleaning. On top of its new construction, my Manix 2 also comes with CPM S110V, which is a very interesting premium blade steel, and I'm here to tell you all about it. Hey everyone, welcome to Salvo EDC. This review took me several months to film, but it was all worth it, since I've been using this pocket knife as one of my #1 cutting tools throughout this entire year, which made me understand it on a whole different level. If I had to sum up the brand new version of the Manix 2, I would say that it's a sturdy, yet easy to carry work knife with a reliable locking mechanism and high performance blade steel. And on top of the many great perks, it has almost no disadvantages, which might sound crazy, but it is absolutely true. The only thing that kept me from getting a lightweight Manix before was a major flaw in its construction, because for long years, Spyderco riveted these knives together, leaving us with no options for disassembly. To be completely honest with you, I thought it was a terrible mistake that Spyderco released the original design with a riveted construction, because that had absolutely no advantages. Besides, it was just a mediocre cost-cutting solution that came with a huge drawback, as it prevented us knife people, aka end users, from repairing and cleaning our tools. This frustrated me so much, because I'm a messy knife user, and I very often find myself with a dirty, oily, and sometimes even bloody folder that I just simply need to take apart to clean properly. Especially these linerless Spyderco knives, because under the hood, they come with all kinds of molded holes that are simply impossible to reach, except when the knife is taken apart. Not to mention that the Manix 2 platform has a so-called closed construction, which means that its backspacer and locking mechanism seals its top end across the entire handle. I also wanted the option for disassembly, because I love tweaking my favorite knives with upgrades to squeeze the best performance out of them. And on the Manix platform, it's not only the scales that are upgradable, but we can also fine-tune the action by installing custom ball bearings, fancy ball cages, or even a coil spring with a different tension. So before this new screw-together version came around, I completely refused to buy a Manix from Spyderco, but now that I finally got one, I simply fell in love with it. The action and the ergonomics are amazing, it is a joy to carry, and the Manix just goes all day, no matter what I do to it. Frankly, this is the knife that I had the most fun using throughout this entire year. The Manix is easy to operate with one hand, even when I'm wearing thick work gloves, and I noticed that the spider hole on this blade is larger compared to other Spyderco models. Plus the scales also have jimping all over them, which also suggests that the Manix was created for hard work. And one other fun little detail that I noticed, that I can actually put down the Manix between two cuts without the blade hitting the table, which is a very uncommon feature among Spyderco knives, and I have the suspicion that this was an intentional design element from Eric, who came up with the Manix as one of his very first projects. He did a great job with this knife, and thanks to his innovation, the Manix ended up as one of the most unique Spyderco designs out there. One of its distinctive features is the ball bearing locking mechanism, and the way it works is simply genius. It has all the perks of most crossbar locks that some other manufacturers use, but instead of a fragile omega spring, the Manix comes with a coil spring, which makes the knife much more reliable. In my experience, this locking mechanism also works better with gloves compared to Spyderco's signature compression lock, and I enjoy the way this lock replaces the detent ball opening action that we get with most conventional folding knives, because the same coil spring that secures the lock up is also responsible for keeping the knife shut. This coil spring mechanism does a much better job preventing accidental openings, because in contrary to a simple detent ball, it keeps the blade under control for a much longer interval. This allows two very cool features. Number one is the already mentioned improved safety, and number two is the exceptionally smooth operation. But now, before this review gets overly positive, I'd like to bring up my biggest two gripes about the Manix 2's design. The first one is the garbage wire clip, which is simply unacceptable on any pocket knife, and I wish we got Spyderco's basic spoon clip instead that we see on many of their other knives. Plus, I also hate the placement on this lanyard hole, and I find this paracord location very annoying, so I wish it took place closer to the end of the scales, like it does on the Para 3 or the PM2. Now, when it comes to these FRN scales, I already mentioned that the construction of the knife is super duper light because it comes with no steel liners, which is very surprising because these scales are just super rigid, despite the fact that they are not reinforced by steel. Flexing is generally one of my biggest issues with similarly constructed lightweight knives, probably because I come from martial arts, so I have very strong hands And bendy knife scales just simply freak me out, and since my grip is too strong, I already broke several micarta folders by simply squeezing them. So trust me when I say that the Manix lightweight is absolutely not bendy. And I'm so happy Spyderco tries their best to innovate these molded knife scales, because they keep both weight and the price pretty low. The base version of this knife comes for about $130, which is very affordable nowadays, and the only reason why I paid about $180 for mine is the premium blade steel, but for the high performance of S110V, it was still a very good deal. If you're shopping for any Spyderco knives in the future, the general thumb rule is that their similarly dark blue knives usually feature this upgraded blade steel. For me personally, this color coding was a bit of a turn-off, because their dark blue G10 scales look very ugly. However, these similarly blue FRN scales, for my eyes, look way better. So I'm happy that I could try the premium steel on this exact model. Oh, so if you don't mind me sharing some personal stuff, I have a cool story for you. As I sold my previous house earlier this year, I had no other choice but to pack up my whole life into cardboard boxes and move everything to my new place. During the process, I chose the Spyderco Manix 2 as my primary utility knife, which means that I use this thing to create my own uniquely sized cardboard boxes, and the insane edge retention made my job very easy. After S90V, this one is probably the best stainless super steel with a high edge retention, and in my opinion, S110V has a very nice sweet spot between S90V and S20V. And it's great that Spyderco uses this blade material, because without their enthusiasm, we would not have the chance to buy this steel. Now, with all that said, I don't really think that I would come back and buy S110V again, because for me it just has this weird middle child syndrome, and in my use case, S90V is still king. But besides all that, S110V can still kick some serious ass, especially if we compare it to the BDSM whatever blade steel that the original Manix lightweight comes with. And if you're watching this video because you're on the fence about getting this model, I highly recommend budgeting for the premium option. So my bottom line is that I really enjoy the Manix 2 lightweight. It has a generous size, upgraded construction, and of course an amazing blade grind. Plus, Spyderco finally CQI'd it a year ago, giving me the freedom of disassembly. In my opinion, the evolution of the Manix reached a point where all the major design flaws have been eliminated, which makes this knife very easy to recommend. And I had an absolute blast carrying it in the last couple of months, alongside my similarly lightweight and rust-proof Dragonfly Salt with H1 blade steel. Together, these two Spyderco knives made an incredibly cool combination, and the only thing that could dethrone the Manix for me was the brand new Microtech Standard issue, another amazing American-made pocket knife. But before I got the MSI, the Spyderco Manix had absolutely no competition in this category. I already reviewed both of these knives, so if you want to learn more about them, come and check my previous videos. And if you want to see my upcoming Spyderco knives, don't forget to hit subscribe. Thank you for sticking around all the way, and I'll see you in the next one.